It's time for me to spill the tea. Again, to support my hormone health, brain health, energy levels. To eat kind of whatever you want and still be in alignment with your goals.
Because here the hardest portion of the hip thrust is when your glutes are in the shortened position.
When I realized this, I was like, wait, this is all you have to do? Like, I like to live with balance. So this is what it really comes down to. Tea, we'll get into it today. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. Today we have another Eat and Train with me on the agenda where I basically share with you everything that I eat in a day as well as my whole entire workout. Some of the juicy FAQs, I do not count my calories, I don't count my macros. I like to say I'm a mindful eater, so I'm still eating with intention to support my goals in the gym, my physique and my performance and everything. I've been living this healthy lifestyle now for like 7 years. I would say like 17, 18 is when I like really got into the whole picture. I started lifting weights when I was 16, but then I really got into the whole like lifestyle, putting all the pieces together around like 17, 18 years old. I also try to eat primarily whole foods, meaning things that I'm cooking, single ingredient foods. Ideally, I do still eat packaged foods, but I try to still be mindful of the ingredients in them. So I try to avoid seed oils. I try to avoid a lot of fillers and things like that. I try to have cleaner, healthier options when it does come to packaged products. For example, instead of buying like a normal salt and vinegar chip, I will opt for like a Sautéed chip, which is really only like potatoes, avocado oil, like salt and vinegar. So I'll make sure to share with you guys like the brands of everything that I use today as well. For breakfast, I have my go-to, which is some sourdough bread, 2 pieces of turkey bacon, and 3 full eggs. The sourdough, again, I always read the ingredients list. I make sure there's not a lot of seed oils or fillers. It really should be very simple ingredients, and that's the one that I get. And then also for turkey bacon, I find this really great uncured turkey bacon that also doesn't have any nitrates or anything from Walmart, believe it or not. Again, pretty simple ingredients as well. I used to really not care about nutrient density in the past, but then I went through a whole fiasco with my hormones. If you know, you know. I lost my period for a point in time for a few months, and it just was not a great time. And so it's been a whole journey kind of re-nourishing my hormones. So I eat in a way that is really nutrient dense, that has a lot of bioavailable nutrients, which is a big reason why I'm opting for those whole foods and primarily animal sources of fat, again, to support my hormone health, brain health, energy levels, all the things. Oh, I also did put grass-fed butter on my sourdough as well. I love sourdough and butter. It's just so good. I actually want to do a little taste test of this Bloom energy drink. I just have to put this out to the world. Social media marketing works, okay? Even if you don't see like direct links on an influencer who like promoted this and it doesn't go with trace back right to the influencer, just me seeing this so many times on social media over and over again is what literally led me to actually purchasing this in the real world when I saw it out in the wild. So I just have been so subconsciously influenced. Anyways, I haven't tried one of these before, the Bloom energy drinks. This is in the strawberry watermelon flavor. I always love a good taste test, you know. Also, kind of since we're speaking on hormones, I always try to not have my caffeine until after I've had breakfast. And I also try to have it like an hour or 2 after I've woken up. It's just way easier on your hormones. Ooh. Ooh, that's good. That's pretty good. I have unfortunately been on an energy drink kick. Are the ingredients in this great? No. That's what I think I should say. I am also someone who's a huge advocate of balance, as you'll see throughout the video. I don't eat perfect all the time. I don't try to eat perfect all the time. I try to have my main meals more whole food based, very high protein, but I am gonna have an energy drink every now and then. I do have something sweet every single day. Sometimes it's a healthier alternative. Sometimes it's a real deal. Last night we made brownies. A Betty Crocker box of brownies. So it's just like, I like to live with balance because I want to fuel my physical goals, my gym goals, but I also want to fuel my mood, my soul, my heart, my enjoyment, you know, and this is what makes it have longevity over the long haul. Everything in moderation. Maybe we'll get into it in this video. It's really not hard to eat kind of whatever you want and still be in alignment with your goals. We'll get into it today.
All right, let's hit some legs. I actually have a brand new exercise that I've never showed on here before at the very end of the workout, so stay tuned for that because I've honestly been growing to love it. When I'm really kind of wanting a low effort main compound movement, I will just opt for the leg press just because it's so easy to chuck some weights on and get moving. So of course before this, I did a dynamic stretch and warm up, and then I also did a warm up set with lighter weight, and then I got into my 3 working sets. So I did 3 sets of 10 to 15. First set was 15, and then the last 2 I upped my weight a little bit and shot for 10 reps here. I have a little bit of a higher foot placement to hit more glute, and my feet are just about shoulder width apart. If you want even more glute, you can turn your toes out at about a 45-degree angle and have them just wider than shoulder width apart. The number one struggle for people on the leg press is that they might be feeling it a lot in their low back / their low back may get really sore the next day. If that's happening, it's because you're bringing your legs too far down to your chest past your own mobility, and then it's causing your butt to tuck under and put a lot of stress on your low back. So for me, I'm always trying to keep my entire torso pressed into the seat, including my low back. I'm trying to bring my knees towards my chest, but again, I'm stopping just before my butt feels like it needs to tuck under and lift off the bench or the seat. I'm also always driving up through my heels and really focusing on squeezing my glutes and pressing with my thighs in order to push the weight up. A little cheat that I do if I'm really struggling to get up those final few reps, I will push on my thighs with my hands just a little bit, and it's a perfect little way to like assist yourself. Next, we are moving into a favorite of mine and a staple. Of course, we have some hip thrusts. I'm doing these again on the Smith machine. This is also my lazy girl leg day setup. If I don't feel like going all out, instead of doing a barbell hip thrust, I'll just use the Smith machine. Takes less time to set up and it just feels way more low maintenance to me. Again, I started off with a warm-up set, of course, just to get the mind to muscle connection down, really get my glutes to start firing and just get accustomed and warmed up to the movement pattern. Then I threw on some more weight and it was time to get into my working set. So I did 3 sets of 12. It's hard to tell because I'm wearing such a baggy sweatshirt, but I have the bottom of my shoulder blades on the bench, and I can't stress enough how important bench placement is, especially for the Smith machine. So you want to have it a specific distance from the Smith machine where you're able to come down comfortably, where the bar feels still comfortable at the bottom of the movement. You know what I mean? Because like with the barbell hip thrust, the barbell is free flowing, so it can kind of move with you. But here the line of the barbell stays. So you don't want to be too far away where when you come down, the bar isn't hitting on the crease of your hip, and vice versa. You don't want to be too close where you're like crowding into the bar. So the distance from the bar is very important, and kind of a good way to gauge it is just to make sure that the bottom of your shoulder blades are touching the bench, and that when you're in a full tabletop position, the bar is sitting right across, like just below your hip bones. And having that shoulder placement on the bench will help you not have a restricted range of motion and should make the whole movement more free flowing. I always have my knees stacked over my ankles, or essentially having a 90-degree angle in my leg. This is the sweet spot where you're really going to feel your glutes firing, as opposed to having your hamstrings or quads be taking over the movement. Constantly driving up through the heels, as with every other leg day movement. That's also going to help to fire up our glutes. I'm keeping my chin tucked to my chest here. I'm not letting my head fall back, because that's going to help us tuck our pelvis under, or essentially create a posterior pelvic tilt, which basically means if your hips were a bucket, they're tipped back just a little bit. That inevitably helps to engage your glutes more. I'm also focusing on scooping with my hips rather than driving my belly button to the sky, because if you focus on driving your belly button up, that's more so going to make your hips have an anterior pelvic tilt, or essentially tilt your hips forward and put more stress and strain on your low back. So we want to keep those hips scooped under with our chin tucked to our chest, and we want to make sure we're reaching full hip extension, which basically means we want to hit a full tabletop position at the top of the movement. So we don't want 3/4 of the rep, because here the hardest portion of the hip thrust is when your glutes are in the shortened position. So that top part, that last quarter of a rep where you're really reaching that full hip extension to get a full tabletop position at the top, that's where you're going to have the most load and torque on your glutes. So you really want to take advantage of that and maximize that. And my feet are also about shoulder width apart as well. Next, we went into some RDLs on the Landmine bar. I want to say if you are new, I would definitely recommend just doing this with a pair of dumbbells just because the alignment on the Landmine bar for this is a little bit tricky, but I do like rotating this RDL variation in just because it changes the kind of the angle of the load a little bit and it adds kind of an increased stretch in your hamstrings if you do it correctly. So I just really like to add this in. Basically all Landmine bar is just a barbell in this kind of little lever situation, which again turns the barbell into a lever and kind of angles the load, if you will. So I'm also standing on 2 plates here just to increase my depth, just because I'm also using 2 big bumper plates on the barbell, which can inhibit your range of motion. So I'm standing on some blocks to make sure I can go as deep as I can and therefore increase that time under tension, which is what we want. I'm a huge advocate for a really big range of motion when it comes to performing exercises. I am using a V-bar attachment, which you can usually find these around the cable area. So again, the alignment is really important. So my feet are very close to the weights because again, since the angle of like the lever of the Landmine and then also the positioning of you pushing your hips back, you want to still make sure that your legs are under you so you still have like a stable center of balance and gravity. So you want your feet close to the weights and kind of a little bit out in front of you, more so than you normally would with a normal RDL, so that when you sit your hips back, your weight is still in a grounded central place. I'm also supporting the V-bar attachment with my thumbs on the barbell so that it stays put. This is honestly really important. I would be showing it with 2 hands, but I have the camera on the other, obviously. And then with an RDL, this is more so a forward and back motion rather than an up and down motion. So we're pushing our hips back as far as we can, where that's inevitably causing our torso to fold over. It's more so pushing our hips back rather than bending over. We're keeping a slight bend in our knee. I do have a little bit more of a knee bend here to make this more glute bias, pushing the floor away with my heels as I come up, and I'm trying to keep the weight as close as I can to my legs as well. We don't want it too far out in front of us. That's also why foot placement is so important. We want to keep our core nice and tight, and when you come up, we're not shoving our hips forward. We're tensing and squeezing our glutes right when they become neutral and our hips are in alignment with our shoulders again. Next, I opted for a kneeling single leg curl for the hamstrings to get some isolation work. These were brutal for me this day. I only did sets of 10 here. These are pretty self-explanatory. I'm basically just trying to kick my bum with my heel. With hamstring isolation, it's super easy for our hips to come up and like overcompensate and take over the movement. So you want to try to keep your hips into the pad. And again, you really want to focus on having your hamstrings be what is doing most of the work. I honestly really love this machine. I haven't seen it elsewhere other than my gym. So if you don't have it though, you can of course just do a lying hamstring curl as well. Then we have this, okay? This is a glute bridge abduction. When I saw this, I was like skeptical. I was like, is this real? But I saw this from Kelly Matthews and then also Brett Contreras, which if you don't know him, he goes by the Glute Guy and he does a ton of scientific research about training the glutes, and he reviewed it, he approved it, he said he really likes it and uses it himself. And I'm realizing it's optimal and it's effective because it's basically like a normal standing abduction and we're just taking away the flexion in the hips by holding a glute bridge. It's basically the same thing when you're doing it on the floor. When you put your hips up and then you have like a band around your knees and you're pressing them out, it's like the same thing there, but now we're doing it on like a weighted machine. So this is the first time I did it and I felt like a little bit odd, and I'm realizing why. So then in the second clip, I adjusted my form and it feels so much better. So the first time I was having this big arch in my low back and I was kind of trying to press my hips in like a complete tabletop position, which was then causing more stress on my low back, and I was just pushing my belly button up too high and I wasn't feeling it as much in my hips, in my glutes, excuse me, and I just wasn't quite sure about it. So then I tried it again and I made it so that my hips were more so in a direct line with my shoulders, and I more so had a direct diagonal down to my feet rather than like a half moon wheel shape with my body, if that makes sense, and more so made a straight diagonal line with my body. I kept my chin tucked to my chest to help with that as well. I also focused on tucking my hips, kind of what I talked about with the hip thrust, kept my core really nice and tight, tucked my hips under, and then I focused just on sweeping my hips out. I've been doing this a few times now since I filmed this, and I actually have really liked it and I've been feeling it a lot in your glute medius. Alright, workout wasn't terrible. I honestly went in there having really low expectations because I'm about to get my period in like the next few days and I just have really been feeling it. this luteal phase, just like tired, blah, weak, and like not wanting to do too much. But it turned out to be solid. Like I wasn't pushing any crazy numbers. I didn't have any crazy intensity, but it still was like a solid, the challenge was still there, and I'm happy with the intensity that did come through. So we're good, we're happy about that. I was gonna maybe walk on the treadmill for a little bit, but I actually have to record a podcast ad that I do have to kind of get to them kind of as soon as possible today, just because there's like a drastic time change. So I'm gonna go home and do that, and then we'll reconvene. Ad is done, and I am going to have a snack. I can't remember if, I feel like I have tried this before. But anyway, I'm gonna have this protein bar. Not fantastic ingredients, but something like this, like a snack, like my main focus in this is just to get some extra protein in. I really can't remember if I tried this one or not. I love Bear Bells though. They are so good, they taste like a candy bar. Interesting. This one bar is 20 grams of protein. I honestly don't have a protein bar every day. Sometimes I just have nothing. Sometimes I'll have like a beef stick. Sometimes I'll have like literal any like leftover meat that I have in the fridge. Sometimes I'll drink a protein shake, or like I really love the Koya protein shakes. I was having those for a good bit. I got a few little PR packages that I want to share with you guys just as like a thank you to these brands. First up is ProMix, which I've been wanting to try them for so long, and I'm so excited about this. So they sent their hydration electrolyte drink mix. Why did I just say that so weirdly? Their electrolyte drink mix, okay, is what this is. Watermelon flavor. Basically, ProMix is just like a supplement brand, but they use cleaner ingredients. So I just have been wanting to try them for a long time. They also sent their grass-fed whey variety pack, which like, look at these ingredients, okay? Not bad, not bad. And then they also sent their D-Bulk pre and probiotics, which I've heard incredible things about these. Like people rave about it. And then they also sent their protein puff bars. And I did try this yesterday. It's so like interesting. It's kind of giving like Rice Krispie treat. It's the banana bread flavor. And it's like fun. It's very different. Next, I got some deodorant from Wild, which I have used them, I think like a couple years ago. And I actually really like them. They're a non-toxic brand, and they are like environmentally conscious. You basically can order just refills to put in your same container. So they have like deodorant, body wash, and then I think a lip balm. And then lastly, I got some perfume from a company called Shea and Blue, and I also think that they use better ingredients as well. These actually smell very good. I've smelled all of them, and a lot of them I was like, did not think I was gonna like this orange one. I think it's called, yeah, Blood Orange. Love it. So thank you. I'm so grateful and I'm so excited about all of these things. Okay, I was doing some work and now I want some lunch because your girl is hungry. I'm also cold. So my boyfriend and I did make brownies last night, and I am going to have just like a little something. Except it's basically like a brownie cake. I don't know. They're super good, but they're not like holding form. I have really been on a yogurt kick. I have to say, respectfully, I'm so thankful that I don't have like dietary restrictions. Like, you know, if I eat like copious amounts of gluten day after day after day, that's gonna catch up to me. If I eat like copious amounts of dairy day after day after day, that kind of catches up to me. But the fact that I can eat like all of it and like none of it really upsets my stomach, so thankful. Like, because I think like my brother and my dad are pretty lactose intolerant. I kind of think my mom is too. My sister is like genuinely allergic to gluten, and my other sister is like gluten sensitive. I'm just so glad that I like don't have any of those things. So anyway, here's the thing about yogurt. A lot of them have a good amount of added sugar. You would be shocked. And you also would be shocked at how many fillers tend to be also in yogurt and cottage cheese and all that sort of stuff. So I just opt for a plain Greek yogurt, okay? These are the ingredients, still super minimal, okay? We have no added sugars or anything like that in here, which don't worry, we're gonna sweeten it in a second. I'm not psycho, okay? I love sweet things. But we're just going to do it in more of an intentional way, okay, you know? This is a little secret. I honestly grew up with my dad combining these, so it seems pretty normal to me. But I added some cottage cheese in there for a little extra dose of even more protein. I also love the taste of cottage cheese, and also it kind of breaks up the texture a little bit. It just adds a little something, something. So this is the cottage cheese that I really like. Good culture. I love you. Oh my gosh, I didn't even notice I had all this stuff on my hand. Again, great ingredients. You would be shocked to know how many fillers are in cottage cheese, like carrageenan, all these things. I'm just going to do a little bit of this. Then for fruit, I'm just going to add some organic blueberries and then like about half a banana or so. Look at how massive these blueberries are. Huge. They're really good though. Also, I don't know what it is, but the green grapes
Recently, specifically Walmart green grapes have been absolutely delectable. Like literally crunchy, crisp, which like that is what makes a good grape. I don't even really love green grapes, but they have been like absolutely phenomenal. So hopefully they're that way for everyone, but I recommend checking out your local Walmart and scoping the scene for their green grapes.
Ooh, we're out of peanuts? What the freak?
Life hack. Put your raw honey in the microwave for like 15-30 seconds and it will get so soft and it will just be like pourable. Because I don't like dealing with the spoon. See, and now it's like pourable and so convenient. I'm also going to add some granola, which this only has rolled oats, pecans, sunflower seeds, dried tart cherries. Ooh, Ecuadorian heirloom 70% dark chocolate. Okay, fancy. Pure Vermont maple syrup, Italian extra virgin olive oil, light brown sugar, and Himalayan pink sea salt. That was like, blew me away. That's a really good ingredients list there. Except I actually really don't like pecans, if I'm gonna be honest with everybody. They're just like a little too much for me. Ugh. So delicious. Then we're going to pour on our honey. So this is like our natural sweetener, is the honey rather than whatever they put in all the other yogurts. Here's the thing, I usually put peanuts. We are now out of peanuts. Like I actually have the fat from the sunflower seeds and stuff, so I could add peanut butter, but I just have not, honestly for a while, I haven't really been fiending for peanut butter, weirdly enough. Anyway, this is gonna be my big beefy yogurt bowl. Again, I try to really bulk it up since this is supposed to be my lunch and more of a meal rather than a snack by making sure I'm having the protein, some fiber, carbohydrates, some fats from the sunflower seeds, etc. And that's gonna be that. It's time for me to spill the tea on how to basically eat whatever you want pretty much while staying in alignment with your goals. When I first started my fitness journey, I really thought there were specific foods that were gonna make you gain weight, get fat, just like all this classic diet culture stuff, and I thought there were certain foods you could eat that would make you shredded, lean, get abs. I thought it was always down to the types of foods that you were eating, and I was so trapped in that for so long, and that really led me to having such a toxic relationship with food, or more so I would say like a very anxious mindset around food, because I really felt like there was kind of one right path that I needed to go down if I wanted to stay in alignment with my goals and like be disciplined and all the things. And since learning this and being able to like put this into practice and like find trust and flow with it, I have been so liberated with my relationship with food, and I've been able to enjoy life so much more, have way more flexibility in my fitness journey, and therefore inevitably have so much longevity with what I'm doing, and it truly feels so good. And when I realized this, I was like, wait, this is all you have to do? Like I was so fearful around certain foods and so anxious around certain foods for so long for like truly no reason. So this is what it really comes down to. It has everything to do with your calories, okay? Calories are king at 100%. If we want to go a step further, your macros, which are your carbs, fats, and protein, basically kind of the composition of what you're eating, all that matters for your body composition, meaning your calories kind of dictate your weight, if you will. If you're gaining weight or losing weight, like let's just stick with 130 pounds, right? It's gonna dictate more of the weight, the number on the scale for the most part, but the composition of that 130 pounds is what's going to shift depending on how many carbs, fats, protein, etc. that you are eating. So for example, someone could be 130 pounds but have 20% body fat, 30% body fat, but someone could be 130 pounds and only have like 10% body fat. Visually, their bodies are going to look very differently because they're made up of different percentage of fat and muscle mass, even though collectively the way they same. It's kind of like a mile on the beach versus a mile on the road. It's still a mile, which is this 130 pounds, but the composition of running on the beach is so entirely different than running a mile on pavement, right? One's pavement, asphalt, hard, firm surface, whereas the other one is soft, sand, gritty, etc. So that's kind of where the difference lies. So literally all you need to do is just stay within your caloric window on a weekly basis. But I'm also going to couple that with making sure you're eating high protein from day to day. Eating that high protein is going to allow you to maintain that muscle mass, really help with satiety, hunger cues, all the things. Just literally never ever question protein. Eat as much of it as you would like, as you can. Always be aiming for about 1 gram of protein per body pound that you weigh, especially if you're a weight trainer, if you're active. Just, you can never go wrong with protein. It will forever be your best friend. I am always prioritizing protein in every single meal that I'm eating, and that's also what helps me be able to effortlessly maintain my physique. But 2, Just make sure that you're practicing portion control with these more fun foods. So for example, brownies. I used to be like, oh, I don't know if I should eat, blah, blah, blah. I just have it in moderation. And I know we hear that term all the time, but it's so entirely true. Like, no, I'm not going to eat half a pan of brownies if I really want to still stay in alignment with my goals, but I can have a serving. And again, just be smart and mindful about how much that I'm eating. It really comes down to how much rather than what you are eating. Again, I'm not trying to give you permission to just eat like 2,000 calories of just absolute junk. Again, that's not what I'm saying. It's a balance, right? We want to balance the calories with also eating high quality foods and like where those calories are coming from. So I'm still having 80% of my daily calories come from really good high quality foods, things that are supporting my goals, that are high protein, whatever. But then 10 to 20% of my calories are coming from more so like fun foods is what I personally like to call them, but it's really all it comes down to. Like, I eat whatever I want, whenever I want. I just try to be mindful of how much I'm eating and really always listen to my hunger cues. Because when I say stay in your caloric window, I know a lot of you are like, wait, so should I be tracking calories? That's totally up to you, whatever feels good for you. I don't count calories. I used to in the past just to like get more perspective on things. I did it for a few months, but I just am really in tune with my hunger cues at this point. I'm also really in a metabolically healthy state. And so with that, I'm also really receptive to my hunger cues. So I literally just go off of that. I don't eat brownies until I'm stuffed full in the face and can't move. I don't have half a tray of brownies or a whole tray of cookies. I have one. And the difference is that I have fully released all labeling of food now, since I understand, oh, this food doesn't make me fat and this food doesn't make me get abs. It's simply just how much I'm eating of everything has allowed me to have like such a clear mind around food and balanced perspective around food. And with the more balanced perspective on food, I also have given myself complete permission to eat whatever I want because I understand how things work now. So I don't have that scarcity mindset around fun foods and treats, whereas before I told myself I couldn't have it, which just psychologically makes you want it more because it just seems like off limits. And then I would end up being kind of out of control around those sweets, or again, would just be really food focused around them. I just know 18-year-old me would be so hyper aware that like my boyfriend and I made brownies last night and that we have like a whole thing of brownies. I just know I would be like constantly thinking about them or have them be in the back of my mind. And like literally, I completely forgot that we made brownies last night until I came down this morning and I was like, oh, we have a tray of brownies here. It's like, I just am so much more relaxed and not focused around food, and it really comes from having a balanced perspective with all types of food and giving yourself full permission to have anything when you want, because then you get rid of that scarcity and like limited factor and association around fun foods, and then you can actually lead with what your body is genuinely craving, which, spoiler alert, 9 out of 10 times our body wants food that's actually like good for us and nourishing. Rather, when you feel like you can't have those fun foods, those cravings will just cloud your perspective and your appetite and your cravings all the time. That was my experience, at least, with it. Like, I thought I wanted sweets all the time and like junk food all the time, and then I realized I was like, oh no, it's actually just because I keep telling myself I can't have them. And a little exercise I did to like fully digest and change my belief system that like I really can have any food that I want whenever I want is when I would like sit down to have a treat or whatever, and like the old me would be like, I really want like 2, 3, 4 cookies. I would say, okay, I'm just gonna have a cookie. I'm just gonna stop there for now. If I really want another cookie, I can come back down in a couple hours and get another cookie. And if I really want another one, I can literally eat another one tomorrow. Or let's say, I think something that also would come for me, would like consume me, would be like, well, I don't know when I'm gonna have the opportunity to eat this again. I would tell myself there's literally fun foods everywhere. If you really want it, I can get up right now, drive to the grocery store, drive to the gas station, and find some sort of sweet treat, junk food, whatever, to nourish that craving. Like, it's literally all around us. There's no scarcity or shortage, that is for sure, in our society. There's no scarcity or no shortage of those fun foods, so I quite literally can go get them whenever I wanted. And when I realized that, and I like was like, okay, there really is no scarcity factor, it again kind of eliminated that weird unsatiable desire for them, because I realized there was like copious amounts all around me, so I didn't need to like chase and seek them. I don't know if that makes sense, but this yogurt bowl is really good. It's hitting the spot. It's weird. Sometimes I'm like, I really don't want that, and sometimes I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. I did some more work and then I just took a body shower and I feel so great. And now it's about 6 o'clock and we're gonna have some dinner, which this is all leftovers. I love when I realize I have leftovers to eat. I made all this last night. I sauteed a bunch of vegetables together. I had like red and yellow bell peppers and then I sauteed that with onion, and then I also added zucchini and yellow squash and then some garlic and then salt and pepper. So that's what this little veggie mixture is. And then I also oven roasted some potatoes. The key is to add some parsley. A ton of olive oil, salt, pepper, and parsley. And then these are just some chicken thighs that I also threw in the oven with just olive oil, salt, and pepper. And chicken thighs, I really love so much better than breasts now. They just cook so much easier. They don't get dry as easily and they have like a lot more flavor. Really it's because they have a higher fat content and it's just really, really good. I feel like I never really want to eat chicken breast the next day, but thighs stay pretty well. Oh, and then this is some leftover pasta salad that I actually got a little bit ago when my boyfriend and I, we got some sandwiches that like came on the side and I just never ate it. I kind of like need to either eat it or get rid of it before it goes bad. So I just figured I'd pick at it tonight. I made these potatoes so good last night. Like they had such a crisp on them. Now they don't because I microwaved them, but like that, you can just tell they were crunchy. Can we talk about Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco for a second? They have been everywhere I look. I feel like I've just been seeing so many interviews with them. And I'm obsessed with Benny Blanco. Like I 100% was one of those people who were confused at first. I had heard of the name Benny Blanco, but I had no idea who he was and what he did. I like knew he was somehow involved in the music industry, but again, I didn't know how. And so I just was like, Selena, like what's going on here? Like I'm confused. I get it now. Like after seeing all of these interviews and like actually discovering more about him, like he basically is responsible for like 90% of like the 2010s pop hits. Like this man is a creative genius. I'm obsessed with how like emotionally intelligent he is, but also the biggest thing, I love how authentic he is. Like he is so just himself. And I feel like it's such a good lesson to everybody, especially in that industry that he's in, where it's like everyone kind of has a mask on and he's just so himself and it's like such a breath of fresh air and so refreshing. And he adores Selena. I'm like, dude, I just literally am so interested by people who are just so authentically themselves. And it was in his Jay Shetty interview with him and Selena where he was talking about like external validation and just how much like he literally does not pay attention or care at all about what anyone thinks around him, because really we're only seeking like there's two things we're seeking, either like positive validation or seeing if people don't like what we're doing, and we don't need either of those. Like it shouldn't come down to any validation at all to like guide in what we're doing. And I was like, again, something I know, but like such a great reminder. And I just was like, I love this. He just like, you can definitely tell he practiced what he preaches. And I feel like he's been so successful because he's been so authentic and true to himself always. Like, but fun fact about me, I am such a Selena Gomez fan. Really, when I was growing up, like listen, I'm really not super invested in celebrities at all. I haven't really ever been. Selena Gomez was literally like the only person. Like I was not a believer. I liked Justin Bieber. I'm not gonna be here and like, I don't listen to any of these people, but like I was definitely not in any of these like dire fan clubs at all. Like Justin Bieber, no. One Direction, no. Taylor Swift, no. I still don't even like, honestly, the cult aspect of like her fan base is so concerning to me. I don't get it. So like I've never been someone who's been like super into celebrities, but I've always just loved Selena Gomez. And I just am so happy that I feel like she's coming back to herself. And I just love her, I really do. Finished. I did not finish all of the pasta salad, but I ate a good bit of it. What time is it? It is 7:40 and I'm having a brownie that I made last night. Yum. And I have some milk. And I'm actually doing some polymer clay. I used to do this when I was younger and I just call them like clay creations. So that's what I'm doing. I'm making a little something for Letty actually. I've been like really wanting to get back into it, and I've just been wanting to have some other like creative outlet that I can do that has like nothing to do with work, social media, making money, like just something completely separate. I'm doing that, and I'm actually watching a Netflix movie and it's called The Lifeless, and it's actually really good so far. I'm an hour in. Hour left. I don't know, I just feel like I feel like a lot's about to unfold now because I'm like halfway through. I'm loving the messaging. It's basically about this mom who passes, and like in her will she gives her daughter like a checklist of things that she has to do to like help her get out of like this rut that she's in. And I just feel like that it has such like a great message so far of like not giving up on your life, not settling, and like continuing to do things that make you feel alive and like to get back to yourself. So like I'll let you know how it goes, but like it's really good so far.